Hi, welcome. As mentioned in my previous presentations, the focus of these sessions are to look at the mark of the beast. My intention is to prepare Christians and non-Christians alike for the return of Jesus through studying the Bible and relating it to current events. In the first two presentations, my emphasis has been on technological factors. We know that based on these factors, we are almost at the point when the mark can be implemented. A critical watch to me is when we start seeing the global identifier being accepted by countries and being implemented from country to country. And we can also see the identifier being linked to our bank account so that we can buy or sell without the need for cash. The danger is when all these things are aligned, plus the very fact that they can actually implant that mechanism underneath our skin. And we see more and more volunteers doing so. In my previous session, we looked at some of the inhibitors that may slow down the mark, seen here. They are mainly human factors that is really preventing this avalanche of bringing the mark about. But there are countries. Today, our focus is to show you some possible approaches of the enemies relating to shifting cultures of people. There are countries at the moment that are embracing the mark or close to it. Both Sweden and China, whom I mentioned earlier, will be used as examples. They are extreme. Sweden is from the west, China from the east. Sweden is run by free government. China, on the other hand, is a totalitarian state. Sweden only has 10 million people. China, on the other hand, is 1.44 billion people. Sweden has volunteers accepting microchipping. China, on the other hand, has accepted cashlessness through the use of mobile payment. So what will I do? I'll begin by examining Sweden and then including China as and when required. A big question to ask is, why do some citizens of Sweden, where people are allowed to freely elect their government, volunteer to be chipped? The first reason is really that Christians in Sweden has become blasé about Christianity as truth. Sweden is one of the nations least likely to care about biblical concerns over implanted chips. Polls show only 1 in 10 Swedes think religion is important in daily life. To them, there's no truth to the mark. Many Christians express concern about Swedish microchip implants because they see the idea as a prelude to the mark of the beast, as found in Revelation 13. So based on this, our analysis of Sweden tells us that as we move towards the end of times, there are likely to be far less fundamental Christians than what has been claimed. Strong Bible-believing Christians will reject the mark, and if there are many of us, the mark will never be adopted. 2. We have the issue of digital and transhuman conversions, or people who believe that it is like a religion. Swedes love technology. Swedes worship technology. So do Chinese. And in fact, it is like a new religion, a new language, almost like the scenario of Babylon of Genesis 11:1, when the whole world has one language and a common form of speech, and that is the computer language. The Swedes also believe in transhumanism, which is the idea that humans should go beyond their natural state by incorporating technology into their bodies. Cyborgs, really. Now, David Pierce, one of the founders of Human Plus, said this: if we want to live in paradise, we will have to engineer it ourselves. If we want eternal life, then we will need to rewrite our bug-ridden genetic codes and become godlike. Can you read the word godlike? Only high-tech solutions can ever eradicate suffering from the world. Compassion alone is not enough. Amazingly, the Bible does speak of a time such as this, when Revelation 9:6 talks about a group of people seeking death and not finding it. So having a mark to these people, the Swedes, is a good thing. It's not a bad thing, and being a transhuman is also a good thing. 3. There's the issue of usefulness. Technology like this has to be useful because it allows them to do things so much faster. We understand this ourselves. The Chinese, especially so with the concept of convenience and the speeding up of routine. Alipay and WeChat, for example, both mobile payment system, make it so easy to buy and sell because there's no more cumbersome cash. China is practically cashless. Even beggars today carry QR codes. Moreover, Alipay and WeChat also allow a person to make an appointment in advance in hospitals. No need to queue for registration or wait for their turn to see a doctor. And in crowded cities, where time is money, convenience is seen as being far superior to privacy. And we know that more and more people are moving into the cities from the rural areas. Other than the Chinese, the Swedes also mention the added advantage of not carrying multiple cards. Like as you can see how many cards we are carrying within our wallets. We don't need to carry that if we have a chip underneath our skin. There are also many features, including the fact that it is safe and secure. There's no more carrying cash and getting them stolen. And actually, information is best underneath our own skin. Next, there's the love of globalization or globalism. Notice that politicians nowadays are talking more and more about global issues like climate change or a global response to diseases. Meanwhile, those who proclaim themselves as nationalists are vilified. Even the United Nations is pushing its Agenda 21 priorities through schools, convincing children, our children, that it is important to protect Mother Earth and providing new guidelines on sex education in schools. Hence, adopting a global identity is nothing more than fulfilling one's global responsibility and identity. The enemy is fully aware of this. The approach is simple. It is to develop a culture that discredit the truth about the mark, seduce them to worship transhumanism and the digital technology, coax people into believing the usefulness of technology. That's not difficult. And finally, nurse them to believe in global citizenship. Ingrain these thinkings into the population of the world, and we have a new culture that will thirst and crave for the mark. In the next presentation, we will complete this series by examining the last sub-factors under human factors. If you find this presentation to be helpful, please feel free to share with your friends. Again, please let me know if you can assist in improving this presentation. We must, if we are Christians, get this message out so that both Christians and non-Christians need to know about this biblical truth before it is too late. If you can help in any way, please email me at monkeypeach.peter@gmail.com. God bless.